And we're live. Welcome. Isn't it fun being back? Welcome to you, the viewer. Welcome to our fantastic panel on the side. It's the after Dram, and it means it's time to unwind. So put your feet up, grab a cocktail, or just something on ice, or two, and relax. And that's what today's about. That's what we're going to do right now. As a quick recap up to our evening, Drew, Blair, Davin, and I have been treated to a fantastic tour of Jean-Francois and Joel's distillery, Distillerie du St Laurent in Rimouski, Quebec. Up north, very, very north, and right on the St. Lawrence, and should be really nice. I think it's nice up there right now, is it not, gentlemen?
It is. Yeah, it's summer, and we're slowly seeing some sign of fall coming.
The wood is finally in for the stove for the winter, so we're chill.
Okay, and with you, your colors of fall are beautiful. We get browns and oranges here. That's it. A little bit of orange. You guys, beautiful reds. I miss Montreal. I miss Quebec in the summer. What we have to do, though, is our round of introductions. Tell us what's in your glass, and we're going to follow the same order. We'll do Davin, Blair, and then we'll do Joël, Jean-Francois, finish with Drew, and then we're off. We'll have fun. You're up, Davin.
Davin de Kergommeaux, co-author of the Definitive Guide to Canadian Distilleries, which is our guide. We follow the maps in this book, and we're all the way across Canada at Distillerie St Laurent. I'm drinking a St Laurent rye and ginger tonight. I've used the St Laurent 3-grain whiskey, used some Fever Tree premium ginger beer, and I've added a Toski cherry onto that, and ice made by my fridge.
Perfect. We've got it all. Blair, you're up. Top that.
Co-author of the Definitive Guide to Canadian Distilleries. I have made this beauty right here. It's just some acerum, some apple bitters, and a drop of late harvest maple syrup. And I have this on standby for my second cocktail, which will be just straight up. And I have a piece of ice that will take down the Titanic.
Yeah, good. Also from your fridge.
Yes.
Good. Joël.
Yeah, so welcome back to Distillerie du St Laurent. Joël Pelletier and Jean-Francois Cloutier. We're having wrong side of the bottle. So we're having
not our first dram, obviously.
Acerum neat. So yeah,
That's it. Thank you very much, gentlemen. And Drew.
Drew Semper, reading the Definitive Guide to Canadian Distilleries, and I'm having an acerum on the rocks.
Thank you very much. And I'm doing the same thing. Mine's quite the pour. With these large ice cubes, it looks like a massive pour. So I'm guaranteeing you there's only 2 ounces, maybe.
Mm-hmm. 2 or 3 ounces
here already. So I understand, gentlemen, when you say it's your first. It's not the first. We're enjoying ourselves, and that's what we're supposed to do in the after drink. A lot of fun. I'm gonna start with a picture. No, not picture. Let's get some words up here, and we've seen these before. Right, this is from your homepage. Some corporative descriptions will put you right to sleep. But then there's the improbable story of Distillerie du St Laurent. Unfortunately, we're not able to spill the full bib of our adventure's real origins, since we insist on keeping a clean criminal record. We will simply say that it all began with some tests in the Rimouski basement, where 2 pig-headed friends disregarded conventions and were inspired by their own terroir to create a whimsical and distinctive spirits. So I like that. And again, that's on your Facebook page. Not Facebook. It's on your homepage. All right, we're going to take a liberal approach to this broadcast. We usually do. We talk a bit more. Some people badmouth other people from distilleries a little bit sometimes. It's a little bit funny, but we're all happy here. We're all friends. Tell me how someone may get into the distilling experience outside the distillery. How can someone possibly learn how to distill? and not be where you are now? Gentlemen.
Well, most people before studying distillery start by visiting a distillery. And Jean-Francois, he started distillery and he never he started distillery, the business here, before visiting even one distillery. So he's the kind of person that want to learn himself and experiment before seeing what other people do. So, but yeah, most people go through workshops or take some distilling classes. But Jean-Francois isn't that kind of person.
I always say, well, let's get into trouble and then we'll find solutions.
Good. I'm good with that too. So does that mean I have to make my own still, or could possibly I buy something somewhere? Or
that's the funny thing. You can buy some from the United States. They ship it in 2 boxes. One is called like copper pipe, and the other one is called like stainless vessel. So
okay.
you can go through the border. That's crazy. Eh?
But we never did that.
We made it from the Canadian Tire sales hardware.
And we were distilling essential oils.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's say if I got it from someplace in the States, I ordered a perfume maker or a hand sanitizing device. How would I finally go about deciding how to do things properly and not killing friends and family?
That's a good question, actually. The funny thing is, when we all started that, a lot of friends and a lot of people came by, and suddenly a new universe came to the world. Like, oh, my father has a still back home. Oh, my uncle has one in the sugar shed. We're like, okay, all those streets behind the streets and places like that, everybody has a still. My stepmother went to the house one day and she said, oh, it smells like what it smelled when my father was in the basement.
I wonder what that was.
Exactly. So there is a story, a behind the scenes story that is untold. But that's the other way if you want to, but you're not allowed to. I have to say that. There's a lot of workshops now that you can learn it the proper way without killing your friends.
Or I could go to Scotland and take a master's there. I've got my master's in teaching, but I could. Let's just go to Scotland for a year. And I've been trying to work on my wife on that a little bit, but she's not buying it. I don't think she wants to go to Scotland. I think it'd be a great kind of next step. Teacher for 25 years, distiller for 10, 15, 20. I don't know. I think it's good. I'm trying, gentlemen. And your explanation was great. So I might be able to do something without going to Scotland. Maybe. Blair, you had a question when we left. Could you pull up your bottle of Asram?
Oh, actually, it was the
pre-show,
the aged gin, but the Asram as well. I just gotta get my. There we go. All of their bottles have some really cool, almost like old-fashioned child storybook, Hansel and Gretel type stuff. These great illustrations, and I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about the person that drew these up for you guys.
Yeah, so the idea of our branding is like old encyclopedia. I don't know if you guys know French author Jules Verne. So 2000 Leagues Under the Sea and other stories like that. So we wanted to have like a vintage look for spirits. So we approached a guy named Chad Michael. He's a designer based in Dallas, Texas. And he only makes some wine and spirit labels, and we really like his style. So we decided to work with him for our spirits. And the most illustrations were drawn by a girl named Maria Turina. She's a Russian native living in London, UK. So our designer and artist worked together to create those nice-looking labels, inspired by the work of Jules Verne. So that's our thing.
And it looks like it. It's fantastic. It's beautiful. So, and like the shirts, and they sent us shirts. So here, that was the one we're showing. I think Blair and Davin, I think you have the same one. Davin, you had to go to your collared shirt. I see you're a little bit uncomfortable or underdressed, because Davin's always got the shirts. It's usually pinks and oranges and greens and very colorful, but it blends with his shirt really well. Blair, yours is a bit more visible than mine. I think you can see the helmet.
Yeah, and it's also this on their gin bottle.
And is it not the top of your still behind you? Because when I saw this picture, I was thinking it looked like the top of your still where you put the gin.
Yeah, I'll try to show you.
Oh,
So
that's the
No.
one. Yeah.
So that's a gin still, and it's
Were you
like
thinking of that?
I'm sorry.
Were you thinking of that? You're still when you had these pictures on the t-shirts?
No, actually, the illustration came first. So, well, we made a seaweed gin. So we thought it would be fun to have octopus that harvest all those seaweeds in the sea. So the octopus has those little knives and also diving helmet.
So when we designed that pot still for the gin, because it's almost all the pot stills are made for your needs. It's not really off the shelves. I was starting with a pretty conventional design, and this guy there came, hey Jeff, we're designing it. Yeah, so we can design what we want. Yes. So can we have like a big copper ball as a gin basket? Yes.
Oh no!
So
Hold on. I got pictures of all this, guys. Let's do this. This is it right here. So that's Papa Wong that you have. If you look at it, 100,000 bottles coming out of there. It's topped by a copper sphere holding a unique botanical infusion basket akin to deep sea divers, invented by the master distiller himself. So, and this is what it looks like right there. Right. So Jean-Francois, in an Instagram video, we see that you front load the gin botanical. So it goes to the front, the panier d'aromate. Can you tell us why this is above the still? So one, I didn't know that and it's because I don't know very much about gin, that we flavored the gin with the distillate vapor. I didn't know that. I thought it was in the liquid in the still.
There's a lot of ways. Now, there's a lot of ways to make gin. There's no right or wrong ways. The first one is you can put the botanicals in the alcohol in the kettle and just boil them. The other one would be to use a gin basket, which is actually like Joel, exactly like the pictures. Joel has the dirty one here, and actually the vapor will come through all the little holes that are underneath, and they are forced. The alcohol vapor is forced through the botanicals, which will conduct all the flavors, the essential oils, through the condensers. And after that, you can also add botanicals and infusion after the distillation in the alcohol, in the gin. So there's no right or wrong way here. We use, like for the gin St Laurent, we use 3 types of botanical extraction: boil, infuse, vapor infuse, and infuse.
And here's
what about your vacuum still? Use that for gin as well.
Yeah, so vacuum distillation, just to be to make it simple, the idea is to remove the air from all the still. By doing that, you decrease a lot the boiling temperature of liquids. So, let's say for distilling ethanol, the boiling temperature of ethanol is 75. With our vacuum still, we can distill as low as about 30 Celsius degree. So that's pretty low. It's about room temperature.
When you do that, though, what do you do with the methanol? Because usually the heads, the stuff that's going to make you blind, how does that diffuse, or how do you get rid of that?
The idea of distilling with the vacuum still, we use it for gin. So we start with the neutral base alcohol, so neutral spirit. So we infuse the citruses for about 1 week in neutral corn-based alcohol, and then we distill it in our vacuum still. The idea is to extract all the citruses oils without cooking it. So if you go over about 50 degrees, you start to cook some and also alterate all the botanicals. So if you distill it at room temperature, you keep all the freshness of the citruses and basil and peppermint.
Okay. And Davin, what did you call it again? Vacuum distilling?
Vacuum distillation. You just lower the vapor pressure, so then things evaporate at a very low temperature, so you can distill at room temperature. And there's no methanol involved there, Dolph, because you're starting with ethanol to begin with.
Oh, so you already distilled it. You're
yes, and now you're using it to extract flavor at a low temperature, so that the more friable or the more vulnerable flavors or molecules will not be damaged by heat. You know, there's some molecules that just won't survive a hot distillation. So you're just kind of vacuuming the flavor off the botanical, and you dissolve it in ethanol, because ethanol is a wonderful solvent for flavor molecules.
Now, is it part of this still, or is it part of Lynn, or is it something completely different?
It's another one. I will show you. Just hold on.
Yeah. So it's not an addition to another still. It's a completely different still.
Yeah.
I don't made of glass.
Spheres. There's another sphere there. It's like lots of spheres in your place. I love it. I'm a math teacher, so I like seeing that. It's good.
So yeah, I don't know if you saw a little bit the vacuum still.
Yeah.
It's a very small still. It's 25-liter capacity, loading capacity. So we run about how many distillation a week?
It's 3 distillation per day, 4 days a week. We call it the war machine here. I already changed, replaced like 4 electric motors. It's all in glass. It's pretty precious. It's a little princess. You don't want to get there with big tools and everything. So and you want it to keep running because it's the only one we have.
And that's the money. I was going to ask you a question. Which gin makes you the most money? Is it St. Laurent, your original, the citrus, or is it this would be my favorite because I like wood flavor. So that'd be for me. Which one's your biggest seller?
Well, we started with the St. Laurent gin, the regular version, and so that was 5 years ago. Well, a little bit less than 5 years ago. And our newest addition is to the range is St. Laurent Citrus, and St. Laurent Citrus sales are about the same now as the original one. So they're on the same level, and they're doing pretty good. And the St. Laurent Gin Vieux, well, it's a small limited edition. We only fill about 3 barrels per month of that product. So after 12 months, after 1 for a year, well, we have 3 barrels to bottle. So and that's it. We don't want to make more, but usually it goes out on shelf pretty fast.
Pretty quick. Davin, so the citrus one would be your favorite because of the juniper in there, correct?
No, Davin would like the he'd be the original gin.
Really? I thought you liked more. I thought you were all juniper, Davin. I thought you'd be the second one.
But the citrus is the juniper and the citrus gin is sort of a secondary element. Like all the botanicals work together and all those essential oils, but the juniper is sitting right in the middle.
Okay.
In my opinion, anyways.
And why don't you tell us, Davin? Which one would you?
I haven't tasted all three gins.
Oh, there you go. So, gentlemen, you've got to get Davin all three gins, and I need him to tell me sometime what.
I'll come down there and taste them. But
that's another
Blair wrote all the tasting notes for the book. He did all the tasting. We directed all the samples for the book to Blair. That was his job, and Lord have mercy on his soul.
But notes. It's good. Yeah. But that leads us to another question. When on your original tour, Blair and Davin, because you had all the tour planned out after the book, where was Quebec on your tour date kind of thing? Was that towards the end as well?
No, I think it was in May, wasn't it?
Yeah. The way it worked out with Quebec is that we were going in and out and in and out and in and out. I live in Ottawa. We visited, like I went to Circa, for example, with Karen Newman from Wine Spectator. We were doing there. She was doing a story for Wine Spectator, so I was showing her around. And we went to Old Montreal Distillery together, the two of us. Valleyfield, we went a few times. Artist in Residence. I went there at the height of the Gatineau flood. And it was pretty dramatic driving in there. But we actually, doing the bulk of Quebec, we kind of left that towards the end of the project. And what happened is then we started getting bad weather, and we started getting snow and things like that. So we didn't get to spend as much time in Quebec as we would have liked to. But what we'd like to do now is go back there for a month and see them all.
Well, you should go in September, October. Those are my favorite months in Quebec. They are.
Well, you know what? We're going to go when we have the best traveling conditions.
Yeah. Well, yeah. With you. Jean-Francois, let's go back to this for a second. Why did you decide you wanted a front-loading one?
It became when we designed the big copper ball, the hatch, let's say the true hole, is in the front, so it adds to the look of the scaphandre.
I agree.
Helmet. And obviously, as you have a ball shape, you need an access to put the gin basket in. So the easiest way to design it was actually to get it from the front. So there's a lot of welding inside to accommodate the basket and everything. I will keep you out of the details, but it came obvious that it has to be a front-loading gin basket. And afterward, I think it's the best idea we had because it's really easy to work with. You don't need to disassemble anything. You just open the door, get the basket in or out, and there you go.
Usually, the most gin baskets are like cylinders,
on top.
And to have access to the basket, usually you have to remove some piping on top of the gin basket to open the basket and get the basket out and in.
Yeah.
So if you have a little door in the front like we have, it's really convenient. Just load the basket in and out. So that's
all right. And this looks fantastic, but did you patent this where you can make a lot of money from other people doing the same thing?
No, actually, a cousin of my wife was in New Orleans, and he sent me some picture of the distillery he was visiting. That's my still.
Hey.
So, but that's okay. That's good. No, that's okay.
Well, you could call it the Jean-Francois still or the JF still. I would want that.
Officially, it's
the front-loading scaphandre type gin basket.
Yeah.
No, that sucks. You need a better name. The Jean-Francois still. Come on.
Or think of a really unique name like Papa Wong.
Papa Wong still. The big Wong. Sorry. No, you know what? But it does. It's a really pretty still. And when you look at this, it's less well, it doesn't look as good in the picture, but these look great, man. They're fantastic pictures. Which leads me to Joël. Are you the online guy that does all of these pictures, or the one that kind of puts it all together?
Well, I used to do everything, but now we have another person on board to help me on all the Instagram and the Facebook stuff. And well, Catherine does it way better than I do. But I still enjoy taking pictures very much. So I used to work as a video maker. So I still use the background of photo and pictures and videos a lot. And
because the aesthetics are fantastic. The aesthetics here, the aesthetics on the bottle, not just the pictures on the side, but the actual presentation in the front is very enticing. I'm enticed by pretty pictures and things. I'll tell you that. I'm kind of simple that way. I get brought in by it. But this is very, very pretty. It really is.
When you're in front of, when you're in the liquor store and you're about to choose a wine bottle or a spirit bottle, and when you don't know the brands that you see, usually you choose with your eyes first. So you choose, the pretty bottles and everything, and you pick a bottle. And if the product inside the bottle is not as good as the bottle looks great, well, people won't rebuy another bottle, So you need to first focus on the product and get a good product inside a pretty bottle, and that's what we're trying to achieve.
Yeah, and I'm guilty of that because I bought this one here is batch 28. I don't know how old that is, but I bought this without really knowing.
It's 2016, I think.
Yeah.
About that.
Yeah, and I just bought it blind off the shelf because I thought it looked really cool as a bottle, and then went out, got another one so I could open that. being a true nerd, I thought 28 is kind of low. I'm going to keep this, but then I ended up opening it anyway. So there you go.
That's pretty good. I'm going to ask one more question, but Drew, I'll come to you right away if you have something from the side or one of your own, if that's all right. Jean-Francois, if I show you this picture here, and this came from your video, I spliced this as I looked at your video, and you were saying that you're not too dependent on the technology. You like to use your nose, you like to use your senses more to distinguish the heads, the hearts, the tails. Are you still the same thing, or do you have more gadgets behind you that you started using?
No, we don't have gadgets. Gadgets are expensive, and we're kind of cheap. And at the end of the day, the best tool you have is your nose. We have those on the picture you show. There's the parrot that we will see the densimeter float in, but honestly, it floats too much and you cannot read it. On the gauge, the temperature gauge on the side, we only use one or two to give a good reading, the best idea of what is happening. But at the end of the day, it's your nose and it's your mouth.
Could I suggest that it's probably because maybe you went a non-traditional do-it-your-home in the basement way, and you probably didn't have a lot of gadgets when you first started? Does that make sense?
Probably, yeah.
It does make sense. There's also something romantic, I have to say. I used to be a naval architect, and what I miss about naval architecture is the old naval architecture, when all the ships were round shape, and that was beautiful. And nowadays, the ships are pretty square, pretty economically wise, and this is sad a bit. So when I came into distilling, I'm like, okay, now we still use copper, steam, round shape, and just like analog gauge. So it's pretty. I think it's a romantic side of it.
It does. It looks good, and I'll go with the romantic idea. That's good. I like that. Nice. Drew, do you have something for us?
No, the only one is one that I remembered brought forth from the last one. Dave was wondering if Quebec allows the distillers to sell themselves online, or is that something that's just out west?
What do you mean sell themselves? Like
No, as in like sell their products on their own website.
No, so SEQ, so the state-owned liquor board here in Quebec, SEQ, handles all the online sales, and they only deliver in Quebec, I think.
Yeah.
So that's the same thing. LCBO.com, you can buy some spirits in Ontario, but yeah, it's the same here in Quebec. We now since 2 years we're allowed to sell our products on site at the distillery, so it's pretty new. But we still have to give the full amount to the SEQ, so full cut to the SEQ.
So we won't get into the details because we can get really
Geeky.
passionate.
Passionate. Geeky is good. Geeky is a good word for me. It really is. But anyways, it's good. Okay.
Oh yeah, government's always getting their taxes.
Well, that's okay. We'll keep it there.
Again, let's change topic, please.
I'll change topics. We're talking about distilling, but not the government. Okay. Jean-Francois, let's show a picture. I've got this picture right here.
It's always funny when you talk to me, you talk about pictures, and now I'm always scared to see another picture I didn't see or something.
Why? What picture could there possibly be that you That's good. No, let's go back to the one I'm talking about. But that's a good picture, Jean. I'd be happy with that, man. I'd be good. So we've seen several distilleries that have established a link to the past, Je me souviens, in their homepage, online presence. Patent 5's like that, Fils sur Roi's like that. And now we see this here, this on your home. Where we come from defines who we are. It's also true for our spirit. So winters are harsh, the northeast winds squalling the saline river air, maple water boiling in the huts in the spring, rocky headland, the boreal forest, the barley fields, the boats returning on dock, tons of stuff. Tell us how you link yourselves to your province, your culture, your history, because it seems like you do. It's not your major focus, but it does seem to be a focus that you care about. So if you could tell us a bit about that, please, gentlemen.
Yeah, well, obviously we only have few gins available right now. We're working on acerum and also whiskeys, but our main goal is to use raw material from our province or our region to make spirit, and we've seen that with the gin, the seaweed gin. And now we're moving into whiskey. We only use some grain from Quebec, and most of the grain we use are from St Laurent region. And well, acerum is the other product that we produce, and it's made using only maple syrup from Quebec. So we're trying to use raw material from here, and also, we spoke a little before. We spoke about wood smoking. So Scottish use peat to give some peatness and also smokiness to the product. Well, we were trying to find some tradition that we have here in Eastern Canada, and fish smoking is well established here. So we were trying to give some identity to our products using some raw material from here.
What I'd like to add to this is the way we age our barrels. So what we have here is pretty new. The acerum is 1 year old. I assure you, after 2 years, it's getting really somewhere. But our barrel storage house are exposed to the environment, so it's not heated. It's feeling the breeze from outside. And in the States, they say that there's a big difference in temperature between summer and winter. Guess what? We have that too, and it's even
we have
worse.
more.
Yeah, and Scotland is
we're minus 40 to plus 35. That's 75 degrees, guys. Exactly. 10 degrees 20.
In Scotland, they say the sea wind will get their barrels with saltiness and everything. Well, guess what? We also have that. So this is what we want to put also to put forward in our barrel house and the way we age our spirit as it is imbibed by the environment.
Excellent. And people don't know that They think that Fleuve-St Laurent, the St. Lawrence Seaway, it's fresh water, but it's not. It's salt water coming down. It becomes unsalted at a certain point, or less and less salted as it goes towards Montreal and Ottawa. But as it is there, very salty. And your seaweed, that's why I asked about the seaweed. Was it really briny and salty? Is it just as salty as it would be if you were in Prince Edward Island or Nova Scotia?
I think the density of the water, to get geeky, that's the name of architect. I think the density of the water is quite the same. Okay. So I think it's the same saltiness, pretty close to it.
All right. Davin wanted to talk about the Aceram, so let's do it. I'm going to show a couple pictures, and here it comes. There you go. See, you're happy again. And that one. So you've gotten some awards for it as well. So that looks pretty good. And then again, and I'll show this more later, and I don't have the taste profile, your wheel for this one, which is a shame. But I'm going to tell people, I don't know if you did this in English or not, Jean-Francois, where you described how you distilled the Aceram. Did you do that in English or just French? I can't remember.
On the internet, you mean, on the website?
Yeah, on your website or on Facebook. I go so often between English and French, I forget which one I hear.
But most of our posts on Facebook and Instagram are only in French.
Yeah.
Maybe we could change that.
What people can do, they could put the what's it called when you have the words? Drew, help me out. The words on the bottom. It's called the
subtitles.
Subtitles. You could ask it to do subtitles in English, right? If they wanted to. But I think people should go and see your video on how you make the Aceram.
Let's talk about it right now.
Yeah.
Or keep watching this. Yes. Tell us about it, please, Jean-Francois. How do you make the Aceram?
Okay. The Aceram, actually, Joel can talk about the name, the brand behind the Aceram, because we're not the only one making Aceram. But basically what we do is like you make rum. So when you make rum, you take mainly molasses. You can take whatever that comes from sugar cane, but mainly molasses. But what we do here is replace the molasses by maple syrup. Some other distillery will use the sap or the water, but here we use the syrup, which is already caramelized, which has already heated and have a lot of flavor. We actually use a rum yeast. So it gives a lot of congeners, a lot of ester. It's really flavorful fermentation, and it's double distilled in the same pot still we use for the whiskeys. And this one we all tasting is aged for 1 year. So this one is a blend of 6 barrel. So what we do is we want to keep the name alive and to introduce this new product to the world. So it's young. We have to say it's young. It's only 1 year. It's a blend of 6 barrels, new barrels, ex-bourbon barrels. But we will have a release of 3 years and 3 years from now, and so on and so on. We tasted some 2 years old, ex-bourbon cask 2 years old. It's just marvelous where it's heading. So we can't wait to have a 5 year or 6 year.
And that's it there. Tell us why you decided to do it, though. Why did you decide to do this?
Yeah. Well, it's pretty simple. When you're interested in alcohol and fermentation, the first step is looking what type of sugar is available. And if you travel in the world, let's say you go in Europe and you are in Switzerland or Austria, there's some wonderful fruit brandies over there. They use the pear, cherries, whatever fruit they have over there to do some very nice fruit eau de vie. When you move to Cognac region, they use the Cognac Mar to make some wonderful brandies. Well, wherever you go in the world, there's some unique raw material, unique sugar to make some spirits. And why? Well, we have a really nice, awesome sugar available here in Canada. It's maple syrup, and we didn't did anything about that raw material. We didn't try to distill it or to figure out how it tastes in spirits. So we started to make acerum just by curiosity. We wanted to know what's hidden behind the sugar of maple syrup. Yeah. So when you ferment the sugar and you distill it, you're able to find out what's the flavor that are hidden behind the sugars.
And we all use
experiment. You want to experiment. We want to have fun with it. You want to experiment. You want to see what's there.
First you start with small batches, and it's not so costly. And after that, you go to 2,000 liter, and you don't want to mess it up because it's you all know that maple syrup is quite expensive. So only this year we use 15,000 liter of maple syrup. So we don't want to waste it. Yeah, you don't want to waste it down the drain. So you have to experiment, but the raw material is so fun to work with. And when we started that, we said, okay, let's try it. You look at the calculator and you say, no, we won't do that. It's too expensive. After a while, we said, well, let's try it. And we were happy with the first results. And we really think there's something there that we can go further than that. And we're used in Quebec and elsewhere in the world to use maple syrup as a supplement. It's maple syrup flavored. Everything is flavored with maple syrup. But here we go the other way. We use the sugar, and honestly, it's a raw sugar. We can go up to 14% fermentation. It's wow. Fermenting. It's a raw sugar. It's available, and it wants to become alcohol. Let's say so we do it that way.
And I hope it's cheaper because when I look, not at that, sorry, I'm trying to find, those are $10 here, $10 to $15, depends where you go to get one of these cans. So I hope you guys get it a lot better deal than that. So
yeah, a bit better.
A lot. Davin and Blair, do me a favor. Could you tell our viewers the difference between acerum and sortilège then? Which is still maple.
Very simple.
Yeah, go ahead.
Acerum is, sorry, go ahead, please.
No, go ahead. You had it.
Acerum is distilled maple syrup. It doesn't have the sweetness of the maple. It's got all the mineral qualities, the woody qualities. The maple syrup is an extremely complex flavor, but so much of it is hidden because it's so sweet. And when you take that sugar and ferment it, then you all the hidden flavors behind that come out. Sortilège is flavored with maple syrup. It's sweet.
And I have a quick question actually about that. When you're making acerum, don't you need to proof that maple syrup down quite a bit so it becomes yeast food?
Yeah, it's the maple syrup is like 66 bricks, so it's pretty high in sugar. So you need to dilute it with water, the same as you will do with molasses for rum. You need to dilute it a bit.
So that helps immensely with your yield then.
Yeah. You make your test and you say what's the best yield you can have for the dilution. But again, we go about like 12 to 40% in alcohol at the end of the fermentation. But again, 66 bricks is pretty high. So it's really, really sweet. So you need to dilute it.
Okay. And it's yummy. It's lovely. But I'm guessing that it's hell to clean up, because I wonder what it's like to distill. I know you put water in it, you boil it, and you bring it down to whatever temperature you put the yeast. But when you clean that up, if I look at your still, and I'll throw a picture up here again of the still, does the top come off somehow to make this easier to clean? Because I'm picturing a big gummy mess at the end of it after everything's evaporated.
So we use we distill acerum in Lynn, so it's the 2,000 liter copper pot.
There you go.
Right there. Okay. Still, how
For
you
the cleaning, it's pretty modern. It's clean in place systems. We don't like to get into the kettle with small brushes, so it's clean in place. But again, it's a fermentation of maple syrup. So the messy part is when you put it in the mash tun. So the syrup is raw there. It's messy. If the pump leaks or anything, it goes all the way, all around. It's pretty messy. But after the fermentation, there's no residual sugar. So it's pretty clean broth.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm making maple syrup wine. So after the wine is fermented to about 12 to 14%, well, there's not that much sugar left. About none.
No, it's not that sticky. And again, we talked a bit earlier about the whiskeys. We're making the whiskeys the American way, so grain in. So the whiskeys are messier than the acerum, as the grain is still into the kettle when we distill it. So the maple syrup is pretty clean. It's pretty thin. It's really like a broth.
Just a little bit more. That's okay. My wife is not down here right now. She starts the thing with me, and then she went upstairs because her knee's hurting. And since I'm alone, I get to experiment and drink all of your acerum. But that's okay. We had to do this, and I do have to ask Blair, do you still have some left? Because every time I try to ask Blair what he thinks, he's finished it. Do you still have some?
Yeah. No, I'm done. But I have about this much left.
Blair, I want your tasting notes. If not, I need you to open some else up and put a little bit more in there and tell me what you think.
I switched to the citrus gin, but for acerum, I find that the apple notes and the pear notes, even at 1 year old, still scream through at me. And then you get the vanilla and the caramel, all that kind of stuff. But it's about the pear and the apples for me, and especially the apples.
It's the fruity. Okay.
Yeah.
So
you get as Davin said, you get that mineral quality as well. And the cool thing is that if I'm not mistaken, guys, there's Distillery Shefford, St Laurent, and O'Dwyer are the only 3 distilleries right now that have an acerum on the shelf. And each one is completely different than the other.
Okay.
Like Saint Laurent has that big roundness to it, and then whereas I find O'Dwyer's drifts into that sort of that funky Jamaican rum category. Like it has it gets into that area. So already there's only 3 acerums on the shelf, but already we're seeing that Quebec spirit where you're seeing it go off in different directions already, which is really cool. Like no one is copying each other.
And it's very exciting as it's a new raw material. You know, it's been explored again in sugar shacks and some exploration, but not at this scale. And having 3 distilleries and soon there will be more. We explore it our own ways, and there's different syrup, there are different sap, there's different stills, there's different yeast, there's different barrels. So the possibility are quite endless, and that's what is really interesting. It's not every generation you can see a new class of spirit being born, coming to world, and we're part of it, and we're excited to explore it all the ways we can explore it.
Could we think of that more as Quebec's bourbon, or is gin kind of Quebec's bourbon, where you It hasn't been created, but you like it so much.
Well, you can make gin anywhere in the world, but and you can also make spirit with maple syrup anywhere in the world. But here in Canada, we're blessed to have this wonderful raw material, and it's a nice place and time to be to explore that new material. And I think that maybe in 5 or 10 years from now, we'll see Acerum had like the cognac, or like the mezcal, or like the Scotch whiskey, Baijiu, Grappa, or all those nice spirits that are very tied to a location, specific location. I think moving, if I see in my little crystal ball, in some years, Acerum will have its little place in the spirit world.
And you guys have lots of crystal balls. If you go to the right of you, you have a big, nice 25-liter crystal ball right there.
Oh, you're right there. That's good.
You have a copper ball. We have
2 of them.
That's Pyrex.
Gentlemen, I'm going to throw some pictures your way. So, Denmark, Switzerland, Japan. If we look where your first gin, your original gin goes to, and Davin and Blair said this in the book that it's international and everything else is in Quebec. Look at all the countries you're going to. I need to know, Joël, is this your thing? Where are you the brand guy getting it? Well, you are the admiral, not the ambassador. You're the admiral, so you're really branching out quite a bit.
Yeah, well, we said earlier that the main goal of the distillery was to have some fun, and I really enjoy traveling. So for me, the distillery is just a nice way to get around there and visit those countries and those.
So are you saying this is just a tax receipt type thing for you to go all over the world? Is that what you're saying? What?
We're not talking about that, Dolph.
Well,
having fun.
It's mainly my thing, but Jean-Francois also came to many of those spirit fairs in Europe to promote our spirits.
Okay.
So, well, the main focus is to make some spirit with ingredients from Quebec for Quebec people, but it's still fun to know that our products are enjoyed in Europe and in Japan, in Asia, now in Australia, and also in the USA. So we're now distributed in Texas, California, Illinois, also. So,
I didn't see that. No, you got to change your website, guys. You got to put that on there. That's good. But you know what? It's impressive. It really is impressive because, and these were in order from your 5-year thing. So I'm guessing Denmark was first, Sweden was second, and then you went to Asia for the third. Was that kind of your thing? You wanted to hit? I'm wondering what made you decide Denmark, Switzerland. Why Northern Europe and then Asia? Like, what's going on?
We didn't decide anything. We started to export. Not on purpose.
it was an accident.
Yeah, actually,
I thought it was Denmark, Alberta. It was.
Here it goes. We started to sell our product in Quebec, and we were approached by some importer in Switzerland and in France, at La Maison du Whisky in France, and they saw our products and they tasted it, and they found that it was interesting. So we started to export in Switzerland and France like that after very few months after the gin release. And then we thought, well, if there is some interest in France and Switzerland, maybe there's some other countries that would like to get our stuff. So we started to explore some wine and spirit fairs Pro Wine in Düsseldorf in Germany, and Bar Convent in Berlin. And so we go to those places. We meet people from all around the world, and it's not that hard to find some importers.
And we don't go there only to sell our stuff, but it's really inspiring to go around the world on those fairs and to see what is going on around the world. You know, we tend to walk a bit like that, saying, "Oh, it's working pretty fine here," but the gin movement, it's something big here in Quebec, but it's something bigger around the world. And the whiskey around the world is growing really fast also. And traveling around and meeting people and see what is going on is really inspiring for us as we have a better picture of what is going on. And again, we're pretty new in the business. Eh? We celebrated our 5th year, and before that, we weren't in the business.
So we're trying to get inspired by other distillers from other countries. And it's very fun to taste and watch what other people are doing also, and try to bring some of that innovation here with our raw materials, with our tradition from Canada. But it's you need to be curious and to look at that broader level.
And again, the best thing about these travels is meeting people and drinking with them.
Yeah.
I am so envious of you because I like drinking with people and I like traveling. But do you get to see other distilleries? Do you meet distillers and actually go to their place and they show you stuff? Like you an exchange somehow?
Yep.
Oh, that's fantastic. I love that. Good job, guys. I am so envious. Let's switch gears just a little bit. I'm going to go to Davin and Blair. And I showed these pictures a couple times, you guys. Again, Lynn and Papa Wong. Davin and Blair, you always refer to distillery stills in your book. So if we look at the book, you always see the stills, the type of stills, how big they are, how they progress from one still to another. Why do you think it's so important to highlight stills? Is it because of the money it costs, the pride that people have in the stills? Because in a lot of cases like them, they made their still, like they created it. So is it something like that because it's hard to get or it's hard to master? I kind of want to know, because I just came up with this notion the last time from both of you. Every page, every distillery, you list a couple stills, or you list what they had and what they changed to. So if you could, gentlemen.
Well, I think with Distillerie du St Laurent's story, when I originally spoke to Jean-Francois, like we talked a lot about everything, and it came down to this big 3,000 word like transcription, and a big part of it is the stills they use, just like other distilleries across Canada. The still is a big part of the story. It's like their workhorse, their child kind of thing. And then when you hear that they're making their whiskey using a Canadian still, it's pretty exciting. So I don't know. To me, it was like the stills told a story within the big story. There was a story about the still. You had the name, you had the humor behind it, the fun behind making the spirits, and you get off the phone with these guys. Like I was talking to them about the distillery history originally, and then I was talking to Joel about Asarum later, like way down a couple of years later, and you get off the phone and you're all energized. It's like walking out of a Rocky movie. You just want to go out and just like, yeah,
Help somebody.
Yeah. So a big part of the story across Canada is the still. Like that's their baby. That's their workhorse.
Davin, do you have something to add? And this is not just Canada. It's not just your book. And you were a Scotch snob at one point. So was I. So am I. Maybe, I don't know. But you always talk about the stills, the line arm, the degrees of how it's going up, how big the line arm. Why do we focus so much on the stills, Davin? Anything other than what Blair did? Because you did a great job, Blair.
You walk into a distillery, you see the still.
Yep.
We wanted to have a common thread that ties all the distilleries together, people are interested in this. A lot of people are, most of them will never do it, but many people are thinking, wouldn't it be nice to have a distillery? I wonder how you have a distillery, things like this. And, we have so much information about each of these distilleries that we kind of moved over into a little sidebar, some key points that we would try to get the same key points for every distillery. And the size of the still, the type of still, and so on, it tells you something about what they're doing. Yes. So to find some commonality among them. And then we complemented that with a story about how people name their still.
Yes, which is kind of cool, and I like that too. A supplementary question for both you, and let's go to Joël and Jean-Francois. Why do we find something like this so pretty? Like we do. The people who've been around Scotch, whiskey, bourbon for a long time, we find beauty in these mechanical objects, and I'm wondering why we think they're pretty.
It's all about the curves.
Maybe.
There you go. There you go. The curves, copper,
and also I think that, well, even though we you educate yourself, you're reading about distillation, you're trying to experiment, but you don't really know what's happening in there, and there's something really magical about those things.
Okay.
Even though you're trying to study those things, you still don't really know what's happening, and you know that there's some temperature, that you put some liquid in it, and that it's boiling and evaporating. But why does all different? There's many shapes of stills, and all those different shape of still produce different type of spirits, but you don't really know why. And I think that there's something really, you just don't know what's happening there, and there's some interest in.
And this
I think you're talking about men and women, because the women, we look at women and they're beautiful. We have no idea what's going on in there. They get hot, cold. It's just what's going on. So we could make that comparison possible. My wife's going to watch this, or she might be watching it now. She's not here. I might get smacked right now. But it might be the same thing. We do find beauty in it. And it's not just because it's shiny. I like what you said, Joël. The fact that there's something in it that's magical that we just don't possibly understand. And I don't. You have an idea. It's the fumes coming up, the vapor, and it's getting condensed, but it's still kind of magical because you don't see it. I like that.
I would like to add that the process of distilling hasn't changed since 600 years. It's the same thing. When people started distilling back then, they didn't know, they didn't have a clue what was going on in there. And what we know about it is the same about the barrel aging. It's retro-engineering. We try to figure out what is happening, but we already, as humanity, as distilling people, we were already distilling. But now we try. Well, now we understand a bit more, but since then, we just try to understand what is going on inside the still, and the shapes haven't changed a bit, but not that much. It's still something pretty unique, pretty old. So it's something that goes through times and stays there. So it's really fascinating object.
I agree. This was a great one. This was my favorite question of our 2 hours together, I think. No, I try to find these things, and I think that's it. I'm going to go back to you two gentlemen. I'm going to give you this picture right here, if that's all right. Joël, Jean-Francois, you highlight your staff often on social media and your webpage. Why is this so important to you? For one, many companies starting off will enlist the aid of family. Did you try this, and what happened? Did they not work hard enough for you, or did you? I'm just wondering.
We started with the help of our friends and family in the beginning. When we still have our regular job, we were distilling, on weekends and on nights. But that can only work for a while because everybody has their own job and on interest. So we cannot do that for very long. And when we are hiring people, we're trying to find some people that we think could be our friend. We can have some
some barbecues.
Some barbecues together and just have some fun, you know. So yeah,
I'd do that. Come distill with me. I'll make you a hamburger. We'll have fun. We'll drink.
Yeah, there you go. And we try to, you know, we all been working in different industries and different companies, and you know, we always figure that okay, this thing I like the way they treat people. This thing I don't like how people are treated. I don't like the job. I like the job. You know, you get all these ideas. Now we have the chance to start this company from scratch and set the mood. That's it. So we can set the mood, and I think humbly, I think that people, our staff, like it.
Well, here I'll put them up again. So
When they smile,
Samuel, is there someone that's not in this picture that you'd like to point out to us? Someone who really helped you out, someone who's integral that you'd like to kind of say, thanks, you're on there. Married would be the time to say your spouse.
Yeah. Merci, Nadia.
Sorry.
The first distillery I visited was the Kergomeaux Distillery in Chicago.
Okay.
And so I went to Chicago for the Cobalt workshop many years ago, and I met Robert Berniker. He's the owner and distiller at Cobalt, and I think that his passion and his way of doing things really get me hooked to the distilling world. So I'm grateful for that.
And I, for myself, I would say that the guys from Kings County in New York were a big inspiration. When you look at the book they wrote, and we're like, okay, these guys were like,
We can relate to that.
we can
story.
really relate to that story.
Oh, good.
It's a great distillery.
All right. Well, I'm going to hit on to my last question, and it was: you've had your 5th anniversary. You have anniversary bottling coming out, and did you have a big party in Rimouski somewhere to like thank all the people? Because I'm guessing your first fans were the people of the town. So both of those. Are you going to have a bottling? Did you have a party, or will you have one?
Well, with
COVID time.
With COVID time, it's hard to have big parties. So maybe a little later, but we did have some fun with the staff.
The video.
A few weeks ago, yeah. But it was a small scale part.
Not the scale we would have liked to have, but again, 2020 is canceled, so let's start again in 2021.
All right. What's next for you guys? What's next for the distiller?
Well, we'll start with the party we should have had this year.
All right.
No, there's a big thing coming for us. Well, stay tuned for that, but we'll soon have a new home for all these stills. We've been working on a new location and a new barrel for barrels. So in very few weeks we'll start the construction of something very exciting. So stay tuned for that.
Yes. Oh, we will. Well, gentlemen, it's been an hour and 8 minutes, so it'll be an hour and 10 instead of an hour, but it's a well-timed hour and 10 minutes. I had fantastic time. We're going to do the same thing we did before. Last comments from everybody. We're going to, as always, start with Davin, go to Blair. We'll have Drew, and then we will finish with you two, and then I'll do my sign-off, if that's all right. So, Davin, you're up.
Well, I'd just like to encourage everyone to get a copy of this book, look at the maps in it, and start visiting Canadian distilleries.
Woo!
Yep. Likewise, I'm thinking that I need to send my resume to St Laurent, and I'll make a great deck cadet.
Yep.
And that's it.
Well, he's the admiral. You could be the captain of something at least.
I don't know if I
Not
qualify.
cadet. You're
I
better
think I
than
can-
cadet. I'm sorry.
Deck cadet, I'll mop the floors.
Done. All right. And you'll work for Whiskey on their
Yeah, enjoying the traveling across the country. Get the book. It's a good trip.
Thank you, kind sir. And Joel, then Jean-Francois.
Thank you very much, guys. It was much appreciated. Really great time having a run with you and sharing our stories and chatting about around spirits with you guys.
Thanks for the opportunity, and I hope that we have the opportunity to see you guys and not just on screen, but if you are able to come at the distillery, that would be awesome. So see you next time.
Oh, I hope so too. So if I'm in Rimouski, I'm going there and I'm drinking some of your special stuff. I'll ask for the stuff that you hid in the back. Don't do fisting it, guys. Your 3 grains, lovely. The Aceram is lovely. I've had too much, obviously, but I don't care. I'm here. And my wife will tell me I have when I went upstairs. But you know what? It's been a fantastic night. It really, really, really has. And I say this every time, but this has been memorable. This is another memorable week, one that I hope and everyone else here, I hope you thoroughly enjoyed. So let's hold a glass up. So here's the good company. Here's the good whiskey and good Aceram, because I don't know if I could call it whiskey, but it's close enough. Here's the good books. Here's the good conversation. And here's to seeing you all in 2 weeks, Saturday, September 19th, for our Whisky Book Club's Canadian Whiskey Journey, our newest edition then. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Have a fantastic night. And again,